You're welcome to the Independence Day edition of Ghana Tonight. I'm Kameni Amano. Top of the news this hour. Ghanaian peacekeeping soldiers move underground after the battalion came under missile attacks in Lebanon. Tonight, the why, the how, and the who behind the attacks. Also coming up, IGP's task force leaves northern region after months of successful operations, but residents ask for more time. Tonight, a look back at Independence Day celebrations as President Mahama speaks growth, innovation, and a new Ghana 69 years after colonial rule. Ghana Tonight is live on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. We're also streaming live on x.com, youtube.com, facebook.com, and 3news.com. If you'd like to be a part of our program with your interventions, use the hashtag Ghana Tonight. Thank you for your company tonight. Let's start off with the summaries.
Two Ghanaian soldiers have been critically injured after a Ghana battalion base in southern Lebanon came under missile attack amid clashes between Israeli forces and Hezbollah. According to the Ghana Armed Forces, the troops serving under the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon are receiving treatment while the government of Ghana has lodged a protest at the United Nations over the incident. The Pilgrims Affairs Office says there is no cause for alarm, despite concerns of possible disruptions to this year's Hajj pilgrimage to the United Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The reassurance comes amid rising concerns among Ghana's Muslim community over the escalating Iran-Israel-US conflict, which has triggered missile and drone attacks in parts of the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia. Alhaji Mohammed Amin Lamte Hussein is Director of Communications at the Pilgrims Affairs Office of Ghana.
We are monitoring, and we've also communicated with the Saudi government, who have also decided to establish an effective communication network with all interested parties when it comes to Hajj 2026. So they've really informed all of us that we should calm down. We should just keep our fingers crossed and pray over what is happening. And we hope the right things will be done. So far, I don't think that there is anything to worry about. It is our prayer that it will end very soon, because the main Hajj will kickstart May 19th thereabout.
Mother of 26-year-old Liberian citizen Austin Tengbe, who was lynched, is calling for justice. Austin Tengbe's life was cut short in a shocking act of mob justice. The Sakomono District Police Command has since arrested 3 suspects in connection with the lynching. MacDonald Freeman, Austin's friend, explains how police later discovered a blood-stained cutlass hidden under the security man's bed.
We cannot say his action towards Austin was accident. I think it was premeditated, because he said it on the phone with me that I should tell my brother to leave the compound, because when he gets here, I won't like what he will do to my brother, and he will lash him with cutlass, and that was exactly what he did. But the security called police to come, that took him to the Sakomono Community Hospital, and upon arrival, he was pronounced dead. And so within about 5 to 10 minutes, the police came, and also fixed it that He have placed the cutlass under his bed, and he didn't erase any evidence.
President Mahama has pledged to serve Ghanaians with humility, integrity and dedication, while calling on citizens to play their part in advancing the nation's development. He made the declaration while addressing the public during Ghana's Independence Day celebration, marking the country's 69th anniversary at the Jubilee House.
As we approach the milestone of Ghana's 70th anniversary next year, let us reaffirm our national vision. A vision of a Ghana where no child will go to bed hungry. And a Ghana where education is accessible and empowering. A Ghana where healthcare is affordable and accessible. A Ghana with world-class infrastructure. A Ghana that produces what it consumes. A Ghana where merit and not connections decides opportunity. A Ghana that is digitally connected from Aflao to Hamile. A Ghana that preserves its forests and environment for future generations. This vision is within reach, but it requires our collective efforts.
Chief Executive Officer of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, George Abredu Otu, says efforts are being made to address food gluts across the country. The CEO has been touring the Bono East region to obtain first-hand information on challenges confronting warehouse and food supplies to senior high schools.
To look at a national food reserve, we visited some warehouses all over. And then the National School Feeding Program, we want to see how the supplies are going, how much food the schools have. And then going forward, listen to the challenges of the schools and then see how best we can rectify them.
Well, those are the summaries in Ghana Brief. Therefore, if you're just joining us, it's Ghana Tonight Live on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. Right now, Ghanaian battalion at the headquarters of the UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon under fire. Tonight, the war in the Middle East hit close to home. 2 Ghanaian soldiers are critically injured after the Ghanaian battalion headquarters in the United Nations interim force in Lebanon came under attack. Tonight, the armed forces informing the Ghanaian people of the unfortunate incident. Let's show you excerpts of that statement the Ghana Armed Forces released in the last few hours of the day. Because the Ghana Armed Forces said it wishes to inform the general public that as a fallout of the current ongoing IDF and Hezbollah exchanges in southern Lebanon, the Ghanaian battalion headquarters in the United Nations interim force in Lebanon came under 2 missile attacks between 17:45 and 17:52 hours local time. It goes on to say that 2 soldiers, as I've told you, are critically injured, while 1 other is traumatized. Additionally, the officers' mess facility also got hit and has been bent down completely. The injured are receiving treatment, the statement goes on to say, at the level 1 medical bunker and are currently stable, with arrangements underway for evacuation to the UNIFIL Headquarters Referral Hospital. The Ghana Armed Forces assures the general public to remain calm amidst the fragile situation as troops are currently safe in underground bunkers. The statement then concludes by saying that the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has protested the unfortunate incident at the United Nations headquarters in New York and urged the parties involved in the conflict to be mindful of their responsibilities regarding the safety of all peacekeepers in the theater. Let's have a quick chat on the back of this international incident. Dr. Ishmael Norman is president of the Institute for Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. Professor Lord Malko Yevuga is a globally recognized expert in international relations and political economy. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time tonight. I'll start off with you, Prof. What analysis have you made of this latest development in this IDF Hezbollah exchanges?
Thank you, Kimini. Thanks for having me, and happy Independence Day to you. I think this incident is rather unfortunate. I must start by saying that it hits home to me personally because my dad, who served as a soldier, actually was on peacekeeping duties in Lebanon on a number of occasions. And my brother, my big brother, who is now in the Signal Regiment, has also been to Lebanon on that particular mission a couple of times. So this incident hits home to me. But having said that, I think it goes to show the escalation of the conflict that is ongoing. And it is very unfortunate that this thing has happened. I mean, to give some brief context, this mission was created in 1978. Incidentally, this month, March 19th, will mark exactly 48 years. And when it was created, Ghana actually gave the first force commander, General Eskin, from Ghana, was the very first commander.
Oh, it would appear we lost Prof there, but we'll reconnect.
Happening to Ghana. And I must add that as a principle of international relations and humanitarian law and all the regulations that govern conflict, peacekeepers are not supposed to be attacked.
Absolutely.
Peacekeepers are supposed to be protected. Therefore, what is happening is actually a violation of international law and international humanitarian law. And it's a crime against peacekeepers, which should not have happened.
Absolutely.
But it has happened, and we need to see how best we can solve it.
We'll look at how best that can happen. In the meantime, let's hear from Dr. Norman. Dr. Norman, do you think this was a targeted attack? Well, my understanding is we do not have Doc at the moment. So, Prof, I'll continue with you, right? You make clear that this is against the rules of war, attacking peacekeepers, but we know that this also took place in 2024. So it's not the first time this is happening. What does it say about the conflict in the Middle East as far as, for everybody, really?
So yes, you are right. In 2024, when similar issues came up, when the Israelis claiming self-defense went to southern Lebanon, and there was a hit at the UN post, it was condemned. All the members of the Security Council condemned it and assured the international community that everything will be done to protect the peacekeepers. Therefore, for it to happen again, that shows impunity. Because I think when it happened the last time, there was no action taken against Israel. Now, what has happened now, we don't know for sure who caused the attack that happened today.
Indeed.
And once that is established, because, it's a running battle between Hezbollah, who are in the Lebanese side of the border, and the Israelis who are chasing them. So we need to establish who has carried out this particular attack. Then we can see what action will be taken. Because if no action is taken, then it creates impunity and it will be repeated. It's a clear violation of international law, and peacekeepers are supposed to be protected in conflict. So if they are coming under attack and nothing is done to protect them, then that raises fundamental questions about the rules-based international system that we all say we have since 1945, when the UN was established.
Well, Dr. Norman has rejoined our conversation. Doc, thank you for coming back on here. But, you know, when you read that Ghana Armed Forces statement, it does not name who attacked the Ghanaian battalion. How does that come to you?
Well, thank you for having me. The Lebanese government, I believe, is either the prime minister or somebody higher up on BBC today, blame Hezbollah for generally attacking and provoking Israel by attacking Israel. And so Israel, as a matter of self-defense, had the right to also retaliate, and by sending barrage of rockets and drones to Lebanon. But if this happened because of the response, that is, it falls under international law and diplomacy. It falls under double effect. The concept of double effect. The intention wasn't meant to destroy or hurt any Ghanaian soldier. The intention was to punish Hezbollah and their agents. Unfortunately, the Ghanaian soldiers have become collateral damage, and which is an unintended effect on the peacekeepers, because the soldiers are not aligned to any of the sides that are in conflict right now. And I think right now, we can complain all we want, but it's not going to have any effect on the war itself. So the solution for me, what I see is that either you call back the Ghanaian contingent in Lebanon, or you do what Major General Anita Ho did in Rwanda. You let them stay and maintain the peace. After all, what is happening between Israel and Hezbollah, and Israel and Iran, and the U.S. with Israel on one side, it's war. You know,
I take it as, Dr. Norman, I take it as you do not think that this was a targeted attack on the Ghanaian battalion, given the on and off frosty relationship between Ghana and Israel in recent times.
It wasn't targeted at all. Israel will not do that to Ghanaian soldiers or Ghanaians at all. This was an unintended double effect. It was a collateral kind of damage. And the reason is that sometimes a lot of people forget that 10% of the population of Israel are Arabs. And they speak Arabic, they speak Jewish language, Hebrew. And so they would definitely have people in Lebanon spying for them what is going on. And so Hezbollah likes to embed in schools, in civilian population, and so on and so forth. So it was probably one of those intel on the ground to Israel that the Hezbollah people are maybe in this area, in the vicinity, and that's why the rockets probably were coordinated to fall in that area, but they were not attacking Ghanaians. That one,
I see.
I'm not an Israeli, but I would totally defend Israeli approach. They will not attack Ghanaians just for the fun of it.
Very well. Prof, could there be any reason why the Ghana Armed Forces statement does not name who attacks the Ghanaian battalion in Lebanon?
Well, if they don't have the full information, they can't hasten to name. But you know what Doc was saying, I will disagree a bit. You see, fine, you can defend Israel for protecting itself, but there's something called the blue line. There's a blue line that demarcates where the UN peacekeepers are and the Lebanese territory, which the Israel can go into attack Hezbollah. So if you cross the blue line, then it means that it's a targeted attack. You cannot be saying you are chasing Hezbollah people to the blue line zone. Where the blue line, after the blue line, you cannot go there. That's for the peacekeepers. And Israel must be called to order. The impunity that Israel has is because a lot of countries support Israel. Israel played a victim in 1948, and they created the state of Israel for them. But anytime something happens, Then they take in our civilians. We also what happened in Gaza. We are seeing what is happening now in Iran. If you want to target the combatants, international law is clear that you target the combatants. But if you go astray and attack non-combatants, including peacekeepers, then there cannot be any justification whatsoever. So I would not be here be protecting Israel. What they are doing, they have to be called to order. They are going to extremes in self-defense. And in doing that, they end up hurting non-combatants, including even the media. We also what happened in Gaza where even journalists, Al Jazeera journalists, were shot by Israeli forces. And this is and hospitals, refugee camps have been bombed by Israelis. So I think we need to call them out. If it turns out that they are the ones who attacked the Ghanaians, we need to call them out. And I'm happy that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has actually lodged a complaint at the UN. It may not amount to anything, but the record books will capture it that Ghana protect.
But Prof, which is what I want us to look at now, right? We've seen Israel's impunity. We've seen Israel's disregard for international law. We've seen Israel's disregard for the United Nations. And you have clearly noted that Ghana's protest to the UN may not yield to anything. The question will be then now, if nobody can take responsibility and protect the Ghanaian battalion there, will the solution be withdrawing, at least for now?
Well, I would say that, to protect lives of our citizens, if there's no action coming and the escalation is ongoing, then it will be best for the Ghanaian contingent to be withdrawn until there's de-escalation, because you can't risk your citizens. What are we doing there in the first place? That's not part of Ghanaian territory. We are performing international duty. Since 1978, we've been part of this process. That's why it is even called interim force. This force was not supposed to last, but it's been there for 48 years, and Ghana has been part of it all these years. So if today we are being targeted and being attacked without anything being done about it, then Ghana has every right to recall its contingent until peace returns, because you cannot continue to risk. And we know that so long as America is concerned, Israel cannot be sanctioned. If you bring a resolution to the Security Council,
Prof. Malco Yevuga there making a very important
America
point.
will veto it. That's how expiration is. So if Israel is not called to order today for crimes against humanity, that may happen in the future. But for now, Ghana has every right to withdraw its contingent from Lebanon.
Dr. Norman, will it be your advice for a complete withdrawal given the recent history behind Israel's countenance with the rest of the world in terms of the conflict in the Middle East?
The concept of peacekeeping will be defeated if we withdraw. I think they should find a safe haven for them to be and continue to maintain the peace. After all, they are soldiers. They are not afraid. They are not combatants, but they are there for a purpose. And what is the purpose of peacekeeping? To go when everything is hunky-dory? Then what are you keeping? What kind of peace are you
but
keeping?
Dr. Norman, there are conditions for which they are supposed to stay there. One of those conditions is that irrespective of which side of the war is going up or down, they are protected from either sides of the war. In this instance, that protection seems to elude them, as we have seen since 2024. And so does that not give condition for them to want to withdraw?
I believe that when you're talking war, this kind of theories, international theories, they don't apply. I've been a soldier myself. I know that they don't apply. Believe it or not, talk to any real soldier and they will tell you that this kind of conditionalities, international diplomacy and conflict, in certain situations you can talk all you want. In a classroom, in a lecture hall, yeah. But in the field of theater, it doesn't apply. So either you maintain the peace, you find a safe haven to protect yourself, or you move out of the country completely. Then the purpose of peacekeeping is lost. I understand the law. I'm a lawyer. I teach international law. But believe it or not, sometimes in a theater of war, these kind of talks are just talk.
I see. So the soldiers should rather stay there and continue their work and face the risk of unnecessary death? Because remember, they are not combatants right now.
If you are a soldier, you don't have the choice of deciding the ecosystem within which you work. It is a very dangerous profession, and you see the danger of it only during moments like this. And so it is the management, is the commandant who is in charge of that to decide whether they will stay or not. For me, I would advise that follow the example of Major General Anidaho, what he did in Rwanda when people were being massacred left and right. He stayed, he maintained the peace at the point of his life being sacrificed, and the soldiers wasn't being sacrificed, but he stayed and did the job. So we are soldiers, sometimes you have to fall on your sword for the mission.
Very well. Prof, should we expect, and this goes to both of you, looking at the climate of the Middle East at this time, is this likely not to be the last that we'll see in regards to the Ghanaian battalion in that part of the world?
I think even right now, the UN budget is very thin because even the United States has refused to pay its dues to the UN operations. So I think it's just a matter of time before we see some of these operations winding down. Because like I mentioned, this is supposed to be an interim arrangement in 1978, but it has gone on for all these years. Ghana will have to advise itself, what do we want to do? You see, we are not at war. We are not fighting in a war. I mean, there's a difference between law enforcement and peacekeeping. If Ghana is enforcing peace, then international law allows Ghanaian soldiers to be targets. But if they are peacekeepers, then the law forbids you from attacking them. So unless we are willing now to turn our troops into peace enforcers so that they can also be ready to defend themselves. But so long as they are peacekeepers, they have limits, there are limitations on them. They can take the risk by trying to remain there doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I will not support that because this without any sanctions, and we cannot risk our soldiers in that situation.
Dr. Norman, could there be more of this?
Even if you turn them into peace enforcers, this is no boots on the ground. These are rockets and drones. So how are they going to enforce the peace if you turn them into peace enforcers? You see, the situation, you have to look at it objectively. Each situation is very different. The tactical strategy that you use to approach it is very different. You cannot just say that they were going to turn them into peace enforcers.
Doc, I'm asking, what I'm asking is, do you think there could be more attacks in the future for the Ghanaian battalion?
Oh, the attacks are going to even get more intense because so long as we have nations like North Korea talking of supplying material, weapons to Iran, Russia also saying that if Iran wants something, weapons, they will give it to them. I can see this going to get bigger and bigger. And so the government of Ghana, the commandants in charge of the group there in Lebanon, have to make a decision together with the UN and decide whether they want to stay or they want to move out.
Very well. Dr. Ishmael Norman, President, Institute for Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. This is where we'll end our conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us here. Dr. Yevuga, you stay with me. We'll talk about the Independence Day briefly. Right now, however, let's turn attention to domestic security. Coming up now, Tamale residents appeal to IGP's Special Task Force to return and keep them safe. Let's get into that right now. Now, Ghana Police Service has withdrawn the IGP Special Operations Team from the northern region, despite pleas from residents for the team to stay. This comes as the service completes its aim of tackling violent crimes in the region. The task force has been stationed in Tamale since November last year, recording several arrests and prosecutions during its deployment. Addressing officers during a final parade on March 6th before the team's departure from Tamale, DSP Bawa Abdul Jalil took stock of their successes and commended the officers.
We have been able to make a significant progress in bringing sanity within the northern region and Tamale in itself. When we came, we identified some hotspots, areas that was no go, areas you could see open commission of crime. Eventually, we were able to bring stability to make sure that everybody can operate devoid of any fear or intimidation. Our duty here has been so significant in the sense that we were able to make sure that we arrested all those who were our targets and put them before court with evidence. Because of the court that we took people to, we were able, within a 3-month stay in the northern region, to make an amount of 932,800 Ghana cedis into the account of the judiciary. This was what happened, and it has been unprecedented in the history of police operations. We have been able to put people in custodial sentence, and some cases are still on trial. It brought fear to people who were openly selling tramadol and other illicit drugs. The consumption became scarce because everybody thought if you go and choose criminality, if you go and choose illicit drugs, you will be the target of the IGP Special Operations. Our being here was going to be rotational, even though there was not a time bound given to us. Anywhere we go, we don't maintain we obviously operate and subsequently we leave as a special operation team. Yes. I think eventually our stay in the northern region has finally come to a rotation, and we are moving back to base in headquarters to be able to be deployed to another areas to go and make Ghana proud and continue to make the Ghana police proud. Our operations will only go and be able to complement the effort of the regional police command in all the regions, whatever we feel that there's overwhelming challenges that is coming and they need the special operations present. We have come. We have been able to deliver. Our exit is not on anybody's mission. If you have your mission, I can tell you that you have not achieved it because we have been able to execute our mandate as special operations team in the northern region. Myself and you should be proud of ourselves that in a jurisdiction we have even gone and about to leave, the people are crying that they don't want us to go. The IGP should let us be here. We cannot be here. We need to be rotated. We need to be rotated. We need to go elsewhere and continue with our good works. So, these are our words. We came to serve not on any issue of politics. We came to serve just because we have been given a mandate to serve. We came to serve just because we feel that it was a responsibility bound on us to make sure that we keep the jurisdiction safe. We have been able to execute our duties. We exit not in bitterness. We exit with joy. We exit with the overwhelming majority of the people still thinking that they need us. But it's unfortunate we cannot continue to be here. Thank you very much for all your effort. Thank you very much for
We'll have a chat about this. Christopher Amwako is our correspondent in that region. He's joining us now. Chris, since our story aired, we know that the police have been reassuring the residents. What have they been saying?
Yes, so Kemini, let me emphatically say that the IGP Special Operations Team has actually won the hearts of the people, not only in the greater Tamale metropolis, but in the entirety of the northern region. Now, the question is, what becomes of security in the metropolis and other parts of the region as the IGP Special Operations Team have exited the region? Now, that is where the assurances from the Regional Police Command is coming in. Earlier today, there was a press briefing by the Northern Regional Police Command, and what they said in totality is to reassure the general public that they have plans in place to ensure that the vacuum that the exit of the IGP Special Operation Team is creating or will create, that vacuum has already been planned and will be fixed. And so as we speak, there is another team, sort of a special operation team from the region that is going to step into the shoes of the IGP's Special Operation Team to carry on with these special operations. Kemini, let me also report that even before the arrival of the IGP's Special Operations Team, the Regional Police Command had a unit that was actually deployed to take care of these special operations. It's just that when the IGP's Special Operations Team came, they overshadowed the activities of the Regional Operations Team. Now, the other assurance we are getting, and which is beginning to play off, is that immediately after the press briefing, some 8 persons were arrested today by the Regional Special Operations Team that was constituted. And so I must say that residents are beginning to build that trust in the Regional Police Command with the impression that they have said today that they are going to ensure that the police visibility in the metropolis and the region is enhanced, and actually they are walking the talk by arresting some alleged drug dealers.
Let's take a listen to the police on these reassurances, Christopher, and then we'll come back to you, because it's a bit surprising to me. It makes me curious about how bad the situation was before the Special Operations Task Force came in. But first, let's hear the Northern Regional Police Command.
We have a responsibility beyond Tamale. The region is a very big one. We have a total of 18 districts across the region. We have the mandate to maintain peace and security all over the places. We are confronted with highway armed robbery, which we have been battling with across. Our responsibilities are many, and we are confronting them head-on across the region. I earlier on said that we are selecting men from across the districts to come for a special operation at the regional headquarters. This team, we are going to constitute them similar in nature as the Black Maria team, and they are going to take over immediately. It is in the form of a replacement. So that is why I'm assuring all of you that there is no vacuum that will be created following the redeployment of the Black Maria or IGP's special team. Now, you mentioned the highlights of the arrests so far made by the team. In fact, we have over 1,000 suspects arrested during the period, and then all these cases have been taken to court.
DCOP Wisdom Lavo is the Northern Regional Police Commander. Christopher, our correspondent there, is still here with us. Christopher, 1,000 suspects. That's probably the highest number of arrests over a period of 6 months that I have seen, in the activities of the Ghana Police Service in a particular area. But how bad was the situation that makes the residents want the Black Maria team to stay?
Yes, Kemini, I must say that it was very, very bad because beyond the abuse of the harmful substances like tramadol, red, and others, we had people, in fact, traditional authorities, we also had religious people, respected personalities within the communities who were actually trading in these drugs. We can talk about the arrest of one Alhaji Sawiti, whose warehouse was ransacked, and large quantities and volumes of tramadol and other harmful substances were recovered or retrieved from his warehouse, where he openly agreed to the fact that he owned those drugs. He was prosecuted and fined. Now, we also know others who were equally prosecuted in this regard. Now, we know that the Greater Tamale metropolis, for instance, was a hub of criminal activities. You talk about car snatchings, you talk about the abuse of illicit drugs, which became the talk of town. Don't also forget about the BBC documentary where Tamale and the northern region was cited to be a transit point of the dealings in this illicit drugs. And so it was a very serious issue, and discipline as a result of the abuse of these drugs became rampant. And so everybody was concerned. And the coming of the Black Maria or the IGP's operations team actually helped in curbing these issues. And residents, I must say, what we saw, the videos we saw with them begging the Black Maria team to stay, it's not just for the cameras. If you visited the palaces, you visited the mosques and other places, people are talking about the fact that the powers that be should be able to talk to the IGP and government to bring them back.
And Christopher, I remember very well the drug abuse menace, because security correspondent Stanley Nibble also covered this in his documentary, and so it's a very vivid memory for me. But now that the police command has said, look, there will not be a vacuum, there will be a team very much like the Black Maria in that area. Are residents happy now?
Yes, residents are happy, but they are giving the police the benefit of doubt, because for them, the regional police command has been in existence over the years, yet we still have these crimes going on. But they are saying that once this is a reassurance from them, they are going to take them by their words. Like I mentioned earlier, today some 8 persons were arrested from one of the forests in Tamale, and for some residents, this is a start in the good direction or in the right direction. And so they are hoping that the police in the region will walk their talk.
Christopher, always a pleasure talking to you. Keep up the good work. Christopher Amwako is our Northern and Savannah regions correspondent. Richard Kumado is a security and fraud consultant joining our conversation tonight. Richard, I move on to you now, because it's not every day that we hear that people are asking that, look, we don't want our security personnel who have come there to protect us to leave just yet. What do you make of this?
I think it's part of standard procedure. And the IGP has the right to call them home, provided they have not been accused of any excesses, provided a job assigned to them is accomplished, they will need to be called back to national headquarters. And I think that was the wisdom of the IGP when he called DSP Bawa and his team home. But to the extent that Tamale has become known for all manner of crimes, the residents might be feeling that once they left and a vacuum is created, the total number of police officers in Tamale will not be able to curtail crime. And so that reassurance from the head of the police or the regional commander is very assuring that they will wake up to their responsibility, and where they are needed for resources or some level of support, the IGP will listen to them and make sure their support is provided in that regard.
But this is a feather in the cap of the police, isn't it? To see residents come all out and plead that you don't leave them alone?
No, I think the way the departure was arranged was a bit problematic. My brother DSP Bawa gave a long speech, and as a result of the speech, it is becoming political. Then the regional commander was forced to also come and speak to assure the people. So I don't want them to be painting a picture or depicting an issue that the division of labor and the division among the men. They are performing the same duty. There's hierarchy, there's command and control, there's authority. And in times such as these, they should not be seen to be spiting one another. It should have been done quietly. But that long speech given by DSP Bauer, it creates an impression that the police officers on the ground is a little bit weak. And in that regard, you could see the crowd of the people feeding into that narrative. Then you hear Christopher saying that the police have been there and crimes were overwhelming. But the police generally, under the command of the IGP Christian Teteyaonu, has done so well in the area of crime prevention, crime investigation, and prosecuting of crime. And Tamale is not an isolated case. There are other cases they have been to, and they have worked on several operational issues, and they have chalked successes. This particular one, the departure wasn't done properly, and I think the public outcry and the public euphoria is what is creating the problem. But I don't think Tamale will be left to rot again in terms of crime and in terms of the excesses we have seen in the past. The IGP is watching closely, and the entire police service, the combined effort of the CID block and the IGP block, should work together because they have done this over the years, and I think they should be able to take care of these things.
From your informed point of view, is Tamale safer now than before?
I think they have done, DSP Bauer and his team has done tremendous job within 3 months, within the last 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. I have followed them closely, and I saw the nature of the operations and the kind of successes they achieved. What we always say is that security risk assessment and vulnerability management is a continuous process. Law enforcement operations is a continuous process, and the terrain keep on changing almost every now and then. So what you do is that you keep your eyes on the ball, and once the terrain change negatively, the police must get into the public space to ensure that they are the ones in charge. And once the general public can see and the criminals can see, whether in Tamale or any other place that the police in charge, they run down underground. And that is the way it has to be across the whole country. Not single out Tamale to say that they are hugely overwhelmed and they will need a Black Maria at all costs. It is the wisdom of the IGP to call them back home, because once they overstay, the elements of affecting the morale and effectiveness of what they do in the long term will be affected. And they need to come back to national headquarters to be debriefed before they are posted again onto some other exercises.
Well, Richard, we'll leave it here, but thank you very much for your insight. I appreciate it so much. Richard Kumado is a security analyst and fraud consultant. Listen, when I come back from the break, let's talk Independence Day, because the president is speaking growth, innovation, and a new Ghana. Let's look at that on the other side of the break. This is Ghana Tonight. I'll be right back.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paint because with this small paint, I paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours
to serve Ghanaians in humility, integrity, and dedication. He's also called on citizens to play their part in advancing the nation's development at Ghana's 69th Independence Day celebrations. Take a listen.
As we approach the milestone of Ghana's 70th anniversary next year, let us reaffirm our national vision. A vision of a Ghana where no child will go to bed hungry. And a Ghana where education is accessible and empowering. A Ghana where healthcare is affordable and accessible. A Ghana with world-class infrastructure. A Ghana that produces what it consumes. A Ghana where merit and not connections decides opportunity. A Ghana that is digitally connected from Aflao to Hamile. A Ghana that preserves its forests and environment for future generations. This vision is within reach, but it requires our collective efforts. Today, Ghana is working with partners across Africa and the diaspora to seek historical justice. Later this month, Ghana will submit a motion to the United Nations declaring slavery and the transatlantic slave trade the gravest crime against humanity. This motion will represent the justice and restitution that is long overdue. And Ghana, the first sub-Saharan African nation to gain independence, will once again lead the global call for dignity and restoration.
Let's bring back Professor Lord Malco Yevuga on this conversation. He is director of the Center for African Diplomacy and Global Engagement. Doc, we'll look at two themes from the president's speech, the essence of the speech we have just heard. The first one being the independence, not only politically, but economically, of the Ghanaian people, and by extension, the African people, very much in tandem with your recent book on independence and dependency on, the dependency or on economic dependency, excuse me. Now, what would it take for us to have a total liberation politically and economically as a people?
Well, thank you once again, Kimini. I think the book you are talking about, this is my book that was launched in December, Political Independence and Economic Dependency. Now, so yes, I think that we have every reason to celebrate and to mark our independence as we've done today. But that is just one part of the story. Political independence was to translate into economic independence. By almost 70 years, when it comes to economic independence, I don't think we have gained that. And that is why the challenge is. So what it will take for us to get there is to make sure that we are deliberate and intentional in terms of policy. We haven't done so many things very well over the past 69 years. Some decades were lost due to bad governance and poor economic management. Then over the last 30 years or so, because of the fourth Republican constitutional dispensation, we seem to be doing certain things better than before. But that has to be translated into policy. So I would argue, like I've argued in my book, that we can't continue blaming colonialism and coming by himself called neocolonialism for our woes. We need to look within and see what things can we do better. What policies can we do to transform our economy from natural resource dependent or primary product dependent economies to value-added manufacturing economies that can compete favorably in the global market. It's not enough going to the IMF. We've been there for 17 times looking for handouts, and that is part of the problem. If you want to grow your economy, then you need to put your house in order, cut down on waste and corruption, and
well, seems we lost Prof again. I'm hoping that Prof is able to come back on the connection and finish that point about what we could be doing as a people for that economic independence as well. Because for 69 years, We've had that political independence. We have made strides towards economic independence, but we just don't seem to get there in completion yet. What would it take to get to that full 360 economic independence, especially within the ecosystem we find ourselves? Prof, you're back. Finish that point, and then we'll look at the second theme.
Yeah, so my point is that we need to do a lot more in terms of economic policy. We need to cut down on waste and executive compensation, that we see how we compensate public office holders. All those issues have to be looked at. I mean, I like the how we have even decided to celebrate this occasion now. We are told that today we spend about 1.5 million cities, unlike in the past where we say about 20 million. So that means that if you can do the right thing, always cut down costs. And when you do that, then we have every reason to tell the citizens to tighten their belt and save money for future development. So I think
Prof,
we need to, yes.
Indeed. Let's look at the second theme, because the conversation around reparations have been around for the last decade or a half. For some time now, we hear the president reiterate that it's time for the colonial masters, the West, to pay for the labor of slavery. What do you think about this in the context of our bid for economic independence?
Well, it's going to, I mean, it's good that Ghana is pushing this particular issue. I have my own reservations as to whether people who had benefited from slavery are going to own up and pay reparations. But even if they don't, it will be a moral argument to be made. Ghana is making a moral kind of claim to this whole debate. I don't think we are going to see all these former or the big powers who benefit from colonialism and slavery, in this case, coming out to first apologize and to own up and be willing to pay in terms of money. But if Ghana is able to get the debate on the international agenda, that in itself will be an achievement, because people have to admit to crimes that were committed against the African people.
Very well, Prof. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I think we should find time and discuss Africa's place in all the craziness going on in the world right now. Perhaps this is our window of opportunity to emerge again. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah, sure. Have a good night.
Absolutely, you too. Professor Lord Malko Yevuga is an international relations expert. He's also the director of the Center for African Diplomacy and Global Engagement, I believe. But we'll leave it here for now. Tomorrow, 7 a.m., join the team, the Key Points team here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. Alfred Okanse will bring you the week's biggest conversations. 69 years after independence, what is there to show? There's a lot, but there's also a lot more to go. And that will be the focus of the conversation tomorrow. There will also be the war in the Middle East. How ready is Ghana for the shocks? We're already seeing the price of crude rise on the world market, what it means for a net exporter like this country. We're hearing of the attack on the Ghanaian battalion. All of that will feature in the conversation on the Key Points tomorrow. You already see the lineup. I don't have to go over that. On Sunday, I will see you for a very thrilling and riveting conversation on the hot issues, which is on your television Sunday at 1 p.m. I am Kameni Amano. Thank you very much for your company. It's time for me to go. Bye-bye.
Flamingo Paint, superior durability.